Sorry about that. I just realized I was muted. But hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the crew tonight. I'm Mackenzie. I'm the director of variety for the crew, and the crew is pretty much just like our programming board here at the University of Delaware. But tonight we have a really exciting guest. We have Mira Mariah. Mira is a tattoo artist and activist from New York City. She's more popularly known as Girl New York. If any of you follow her on Instagram, that's her Instagram handle. But Girl New York is like her brand and business that she's created to celebrate her art and all the things she loves. But I will let her tell you more about that. So without further ado, let me get her on here really quick.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. If you want to tell like a little bit about yourself and all that fun stuff, please feel free to go ahead.
Yeah. My name is Mira Mariah. I am Girl New York on the internet, and I am a tattoo artist. I am also a model and an illustrator and a mother. And I'm so excited to be here with you guys today and talk a little bit about disability representation and tattooing and how to follow creative pursuit and things like that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So the first like big topic, since we're obviously at college, a lot of the questions that we did get, and thank you to everybody who submitted in the Google survey and or like reached out, was like, I want to ask this thing. If you have any college experiences, if you have any like high school experiences that you would like to discuss, and like kind of just how you got into the tattoo / fashion industry in general.
Yeah, so I actually went to FIT, which is in New York City, the Fashion and Technology. I studied women's wear fashion design, which was something I'd always been really interested in and something that I was really excited to learn about. I only stayed at FIT for about 2.5 years before I started working with someone someone started working on making clothes and working with the designer, Betsy Johnson, for a bit. And then that was my education, my educational experience.
Nice. One of the questions that we got, if whatever you're really comfortable with, is just like any rough spots that you felt you had in like your like starting tattooing or any of your college experience. And like the bigger question was like, what advice would you give for college students who may be graduating and are struggling to kind of like find their place in society?
Yeah, I mean, I think that my advice for young people who either are in college or are leaving college is always to find someone that is doing something kind of like what you want to be doing and see if you can talk to them, see if you can work with them. The answer is probably going to be no. And I think learning to accept that no and keep asking people is also a big part of it. But I think that most of what I learned that was really helpful and really impactful came from working with people that I admired, that were doing things that were in the same vein of the things I wanted to be doing.
Yeah. That's lovely. Another question that we got, I'm trying to transition as well as I can, but was there like a moment where you felt like you were solidified in your career, whether that be, because I know just like you said, you went to FIT and you started more so with fashion, but you transitioned to tattooing. Was there a moment where you were like, oh God, I don't know if I can do this? And was there a moment where you're like, oh, I can totally do this, and this is,
Yeah, I think I have that every hour. For sure.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. I mean, there definitely were bigger moments of where I was not sure that I could do this. And I think that there were a lot of concern when I told my friends and family that I was going to try to become a tattoo artist, especially after having worked in fashion for so long and being so passionate about fashion for so long. A lot of people seemed to think that I was like quitting.
Yeah.
And I rationalized that by saying that I think of tattoos as wearables. So I was continuing on to be a fashion designer, and that really directed my thought process around designing tattoos. And it also helped me have a bit of patience where I might have given up more easily. But I knew it took me so long to learn to make clothes, so it needed to take me so long to learn to do tattoos, and that was okay.
Nice, nice. A big question and like a big thing that I've been trying to like do more aside from like what I do now in like school is just to try to like educate myself and other, you know, ways of life. Um, so obviously just like learning more about like different communities and like we'll kind of touch on like that type of stuff later. But I wanted to ask like how are you enriching yourself and educating yourself in life in general, whether that be like reading books or finding different outlets to be creative or, you know, whatnot.
Yeah. I'm always making something. Like I love making something, and I try to often make things I don't know how to make. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's like a stuffed animal, or sometimes that's like a print for wallpaper, like something. Sometimes what I mean by that is that sometimes it enhances my business and
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't. Like for
Gotcha.
example, last night I was like, we're gonna make pasta. So I like got flour and eggs and I was like, we're gonna figure out how to do
Yeah.
this. And that's, I think, something I do that keeps my brain sharp and keeps me sharp and keeps my creative focus sharp. But as far as content I'm consuming, you know, I read like the New Yorker as often as I can. I love short stories. I really am suddenly very interested in like YouTube and YouTube tutorials and people that
Yeah.
different ways on YouTube, because I'm trying to wrap my head around how you guys are learning on video. So I'm like, oh, I can learn on video, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also like the same advice I gave in the beginning, like talking to people that I look up to, talking to people as often as I can that are making art that I'm interested in, that are writing books that I'm interested in, that are writing articles that I'm interested. Like I want to get as close to the people making the stuff I want to be a part of as I can.
Yeah. Nice. I think like and my friends are gonna laugh at me that are watching this right now, but one of the things I've gotten like very interested in is like I don't know if it's like spiritual is what I want to call it, but like the chakras and like the like zodiac stuff. I'm very interested in it. I'm a Gemini, so like I now see like the big rep about it and like how it's like such a bad thing. So I'm like, well, why is it a bad thing? So I definitely get where you said like, oh, YouTube and like different outlets are really helpful too. I try not to just kind of stick to like one thing to learn about something where now I know like the internet so like accessible so I could just like type it in Google, but I try to really do like more of like research on things now just because I think it's so important too, and not just like silly things like crystals and whatnot, but like other important things. So that was really neat. I don't know.
Really, your interests are all are you don't know which one of your interests is going to lead you to your path as of right
Yeah, exactly.
now. You don't know. So I wouldn't call it silly just yet, like, because maybe there's something you don't know yet.
Yeah,
There's
that's
a
really
lot.
sweet. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Um,
I
to
think, like,
start
I'm really curious. I want to ask you more questions about that.
Oh god. I mean, you can go ahead and ask me any questions if you'd like.
Okay, so when you're studying crystals, how are you doing this?
So, right now and this sounds, like, so lame, but I'm gonna try to, like, not talk like that, but right now it's just, like, I guess, like, Instagram, and I was talking about this with a friend one day, and he was like, "Oh, you should read, like, this type of philosophy type book, and then get into this," and then, like, this sounds, like, so bad, but, like, the lazy, like, portion in me is like, "I don't know if I wanna do all that," and, like, "Do I wanna read this philosophy book?" And, like, I know I should. I
You have to
see your face.
and I was like, I just watched a YouTube video to learn something that's
Yeah.
basically I don't know. So it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But
Out
like,
of
you'll read the book when you have time.
Exactly. Like I said earlier on our Zoom, I was like, I have like so many papers and exams still. I was like, I'll read the book later. Like, but I'm curious, did you get into fashion and did you get into tattooing and like learn about that through like YouTube, or like was there a specific like book or like magazine thing you subscribed to, or?
I became interested in tattooing in general because my friends and I all wanted these tattoos, and you guys are I think quite a bit younger than me. So at the time, fine line, pretty girly tattoos, you brought that into a tattoo shop and they were like, no.
Yeah.
There were a few people starting to do it, but it was really hard to work with them and they were like really not accessible at all. And if you even tried to get your local tattoo artist or a tattoo artist near you, or even, the tattoo artists I had access to at the time to do something more fine-lined and cool, they weren't into it at
Yeah.
all. And this is before the days of it being very normal that kids like stick and poke each other in the dorm. Like that was not going on at this time.
Yeah.
So I wanted to become a tattoo artist. So I emailed like maybe 100 tattoo shops to see if they would work with me. And they all looked at my work and were like, this isn't going to translate. Like you're an okay illustrator, but like, I don't know if you can draw tattoos, and none of this even shows that. And you don't have the kind of tattoos we're doing. So they weren't really interested in me, but I kept trying. And I think that's why I said earlier, learning to accept, no, like ask the most famous person you know out to lunch, like, what's the worst I can say? They don't answer you.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Accept that no and keep going. I got this guy to say yes. And, his name was Chris Stanley, and he was in Bensonhurst, which is really far part of Brooklyn. But he had a philosophy I really appreciated, which was like hyper inclusive. He knew a lot about tattooing on a lot of different skin tones. And he was, like a gay man, and he was very interested in how tattoos were going to become more feminine because he was he saw himself as a feminine person. So I wanted to work with him, and I worked with him for 2 years, and that was how I learned to tattoo.
Nice. That's so interesting. Oh my gosh. Because you kind of bring that up, and like now the big thing, I think like a big thing in general, like in college culture, is like getting that internship and like getting like the best when you can, and if you get paid or whatnot. And the just again like not taking no for an answer. And I think that's really important, just like as a young person, because I think personally, like I'm so used to hearing no, or hearing friends that are like, well, I never heard back from that person, so like what's the like why even try anymore? But I guess I don't know. I really appreciate you saying like just keep going, like just keep working through it, accept the no's. And
It was hundreds of emails. And even
Yeah.
now in my career, I like try for stuff and hear no all the time.
Yeah.
Hear yes, and then like a week before we're going to do it, they're like, you know what, we've decided to go into another direction.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to talk about that, because when you look at Instagram, you just see the yeses.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm fortunate that I've had a lot of yeses, and that's really cool, and I'm really honored for that. But there's like almost as many no's as yeses that you see.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, to kind of transition, so a general question is, what gets you through life? And I kind of put in brackets, so this can be like a book, the support group you have or have created, or whatever. Like in general, what just gets you through this life?
The center of my life is strong female relationships.
Yeah.
And strong friendships. That's like absolutely the center of my life, and that's really what gets me through. But also, like, I have to mention my 6-year-old.
Yeah, that's really sweet. When you say like strong female like relationships, or if you're comfortable, like I know because I follow you, but like like with your sisters and whatnot, like how has that really like solidified like you as a person, or even like has it kind of crept its way into like your work and like the things you're inspired to draw and tattoo and do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just so interested in women and girl culture and the way that we behave and the interests that we take on, that when I surround myself by these women that I love so deeply, I feel inspired to make art about their life experiences and my experience of just being around them.
Yeah.
I have very close friends that are very involved in the upbringing of my daughter and my business and everything in my life. And as am I involved with the things in their life. And I think that is something that grounds me and holds me accountable and helps me survive.
Nice. Do you think that kind of like strong bond is what kind of helped build Girl New York in general?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like this thing. And also then your friends kind of start to help each other. And these are actually, most of them are all girls. My friends are girls I met in college.
Yeah.
I was like randomly assigned to be this woman's roommate. And then, we've been friends ever since. And we have this like very core group. And I think that as you get older, you start to help each other because you all have different jobs and different connections and you kind of weave through. And it's not networky at all. It's very intimate and very close, but why wouldn't you help your friends?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's almost like building a team.
Nice.
And I have a brand, but they have their own brands, or maybe they have something else, or a business, or a project, or a dream, or an art piece, or a book.
Yeah, that's really sweet. That's really nice.
Thank you.
Another question we had, it was, you briefly mentioned the luxury, like on your Instagram, and whether that be like, oh, sorry, can you repeat yourself? Sorry.
I said it's my favorite subject.
Yeah. Whether that be like a Gucci bag or anything, but in general, like what is like, when you think of luxury, like what is that to you?
Okay. Luxury is sometimes a Gucci bag.
Yeah.
Luxury is just when you experience pleasure in a moment where you're able to like fully appreciate it. And I think that because I feel that you are able to fully appreciate it and it makes like that moment feel like a special occasion, it can be anything.
Yeah.
It can be saying that like you, Mackenzie, let's say you prefer ice water. You're only going to drink ice water from now on. You don't like room temperature water, so you're not going to drink it. And when you drink ice water, you're going to take a minute to be like, this is a luxury. I don't have to drink lukewarm water because I don't like it.
Yeah.
So I think that luxury is really important to me, but it's also important to kind of hold it to this like standard where it could be anything and it could be accessible to all of us. But then also luxury can be big and bold and fabulous, and we all deserve that too. And as a disabled woman and as a woman who doesn't necessarily fit into like this very strict beauty standard, I think it's really cool for myself to experience luxury and for the people to see me experience luxury so that they know that maybe they can too, or they know that it's not a limitation if it ever happened to them.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I feel like personally, when I think of luxury or when I think of, and this is kind of like our next topic in a way, but when I think of luxury or when I think of kind of, I don't know if rich culture is like the word I want to use, but we'll use that. I don't really see like disabled bodies, or I don't really see like I guess disabled bodies is what I want to say, because it's not, I mean, you have like the luxury of like being able to be healthy, but it's almost like if you're like missing something, it's like not acceptable. So this is kind of just me saying like, seeing you do that and being like, yeah, like I have like this really successful business and I bought myself a Gucci bag and like treat my daughter to like all these cool toys and whatnot. That's like a big step into what 10-year-old Mackenzie would have thought, or like 10-year-old, like I have other friends that are disabled and like what they would have thought luxury was too. So thank you for being that like representation for like so many people.
Can I also say I'm not rich?
No, yeah.
And I've never bought myself a Gucci bag. I've been in the very, very, very fortunate position to have been gifted Gucci bags by the Gucci. That is an honor that I don't even know what plot twists in my life went down. But I also think that that's like a part of the conversation I'm trying to have. Like, if you want something really fancy, there's a way to acquire it.
Yeah.
There's a way. And it might mean you save up for like 2 years, and that's okay. But if you want something really, really special, you can have it and you should have it, because why not? It exists there, but I'm not like a
Yeah.
hyper capitalist at all.
No, no, I understand.
Okay, cool. I
Yeah.
also think that's like part of the story that it's important to be transparent about.
No, exactly. Yeah, so kind of transitioning a little bit to that, the like really like big thing I wanted to talk about was self-image. And like I kind of said, like luxury can be like good health, and how self-image and like having good self-image can be like a bit of a luxury because as we know, like so many people struggle with it. One question somebody had, and just kind of getting into like social media, body image, mental health, was how has having such a large media platform helped you in your journey with acceptance? And this can be like body image or self-perception.
Sometimes having a large following does the opposite.
Yeah.
If I'm being really honest, yeah. But
Yeah.
I think things that actually helped me in my self-image, this is like the opposite of what people tell you, but I think this is actually the thing that helped me, was comparing myself to others. I looked at the women that I admired and the women
Yeah.
doing shit that I wanted to do, and the women that were the one in the room making the decisions and like calling it out and like doing stuff. And I noticed how different they all looked,
Yeah.
and how most of those women seemed comfortable in a way that you can't be if you're hungry when you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And I think that that helped me a lot. Like truly, like looking up to the women, I was existing in the real world, not in magazines and not on the internet, and seeing like what did the women that I admired look like, and what were they doing, and a lot of them were like nourishing themselves, because nourishing yourself is important if you have important shit to do.
Exactly. Yeah. One of the things I've had to do with social media is, and especially now that like I feel like I consume it too much because I'm just kind of bored with
Yeah.
quarantine and whatnot. But in general, even just like as a teen, I felt like I was like on, I mean, like Tumblr or like whatever, just kind of consuming whatever was kind of shoved down my throat. And a lot of these people didn't necessarily like look like me, or I didn't relate to them. So, and I'm kind of getting off track now. And now I'm like losing my train of thought because I'm like,
No,
oh
you're not.
God.
You're saying a cool thing. So you were like on Tumblr and people didn't look like you, and that made you feel lonely, right?
Yeah.
Okay. When I was in college, I went to one of these things, and Richard Branson, do you know who that is? He was talking, and he said that if there's a void, if there's something that you want in this world and it doesn't exist, you have a responsibility to make it. So if there
Yeah.
wasn't cool content made of girls that look like you, then you have a responsibility to fill that void. Or if there's
Yeah.
a product in this world that you're like, oh, wow, I always wish there was a backpack that also turned into a purse. It is your calling and responsibility to find a way to make that backpack that turns into a purse. And I
Exactly.
really believe that. And I think that like, I hope you take that with you and you fill that
I
void.
will. I will. Like you have such good advice. Oh my God. Like I'm taking this all in. I'm just like, oh my God, yeah. Like I don't,
I learned
yeah.
that at a symposium, which is, I guess, kind of like what you're doing now.
Yeah. But oh my God, that's so great. But you were saying that, and it was kind of like it was definitely more so when I was like a teen and like going through awkward stuff as everybody does. But I was like, well, nobody looks like me, and like just kind of like complaining about it, to say the least. And then I think when I hit like 19, I was like, oh, well, there probably are some people that look like me, and there's people, regardless if they don't look like me, like you said, like I have a bit of responsibility to be like, well, here's what I have to offer, and I look like this. So if there's like a little kid that looks like me, you can look up to me. Granted, and this is kind of just kind of brought up a question, but and I guess like kind of media-ish culture and like liking so many people, I know there's like the topic of, if you're a quote unquote like celebrity, which I don't like to use that term, but do you ever really feel like the pressure of being like, okay, well, I know that there's people that follow me for representation, there's people that follow me for inspiration, do you ever feel like you have to kind of, one, be positive and feel like, oh, I can do this so you can? Or is it like, again, I feel like personally, I feel like you're very transparent about everything. And yeah. Yeah.
I don't feel pressure to be perfect. And the
Good.
minute I feel pressure to be wholesome, that's when I really get angry.
Yeah.
I don't know if you identify as disabled, but if you do, I'm sure that you've had this experience where people like want you to like be really wholesome in this way.
Yes.
I don't know where it comes from. Like
So bad.
and like not and like have and like blend too perfectly almost. And I don't understand it. So I feel like I try really hard in like the kind of representation I'm doing to like run in the other direction.
Yeah.
Be like, no, I'm not like a nice white lady.
Exactly.
Very loud and very excited, and I wear all these crazy clothes, and I'm so interested in all these things, and my nails are always really long and sharp and practical. And I like had a kid really young and figured it out. And I think that that's like much cooler. It's a much better
like
use your time. But there's pressure to be. There's a lot of pressure to be positive, and there's a lot of pressure to be wholesome, and it's boring.
I don't know what it is. So growing up, and like I'll talk about like my like experience a little bit later, but pretty much like I do identify as disabled in a way. More so kind of like in a gist. My dad has it, so it was just like very like normalized to me from like a birth. So it was like, okay, yeah, your dad has it, whatever, go live your life. But it was actually, I think it was summer 2019 or fall 2019. I was working. I worked at a bookstore, and I remember this man came up to me, and he was like, he was like asking me about, because it was a college bookstore. So he was like, "Can you help me find my books?" I was like, "Yeah." And then he started talking to me about like Helen Keller and how like she went to school, and like how it's so cool that like I go to school. I'm like, yeah, it's cool that I go to school, but it's not cool because I'm disabled. It's because like, I don't know, I just want to go to college. Like a lot of people in my family didn't have the opportunity, or like just in general didn't. So I'm just happy to be here. But like, sir, I'm at my job. Like, why ask me now? Or like, why say these things?
Yeah. And, I think the conversation, that's like so real.
Yeah. And like the fact that disabled people, like, excuse my French, but like disabled people can be like assholes too. Like not everybody has to be like nicey nice and like, oh, so inspirational. Like they can have emotions, and like people can feel the way they want to feel, you know, despite like what the general public like wants to kind of put a pedestal on disabled people.
Absolutely. Definitely. Yeah. A lot of pressure to be like sweet.
Yes. Yeah. And I've definitely had that like as a woman, and like just a person in general that doesn't want to disappoint. I've always felt like, oh, did I come across as like angry, or like did I come across weird, or was my tone weird? And I guess that's like being like a person in general, or like a woman in general, but like especially as like being disabled, it's just like it's too much. I'm like, I can like not smile, or like I cannot like be like, yeah, like I'm going to school.
There's like pressure on women to be like this very cute, sweet person. And then when disabled, it's magnified, and it's magnified almost kind of childlike.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's like really, that's like some real shit that I mean, I think I still like am fully working through. And I'm sure that a lot of disabled people are, and those who aren't, I really look up to them very much. Yeah. But you don't have to do anything.
No. And I'm like,
I'm encouraging and kind, but I'm not nice.
Yeah.
You know? Like I know in my heart I'm encouraging. Like I want everyone to like fulfill themselves so much, and I want to nurture that. And I wouldn't even say I'm nurturing, but like to be like nice on a day-to-day basis all day, no. And why are disabled people who are in uncomfortable I mean, I don't know if all disabled people's bodies are uncomfortable, but mine certainly is. Like I'm uncomfortable, and I have to be nicer than you.
Yeah.
And I have to be polite when you ask me some stupid fucking invasive question while I'm just trying to like, carry out my own business. I don't even know you, and I have
exactly.
Why?
I had never really gotten too many questions, but it was just so weird that like, and ironically it was like a dude that was like, what happened? why do you look like that? Why are your hands like that? Da-da-da-da-da. Can you hold a pen? The worst question I've gotten is if I can hold a pencil. I'm like, I'm 20 years, well, at the time I was 20, now I'm 21, but I'm like, I'm 21 years old. Like, I can hold a pencil. Like, I've made it this far. Like, ask me another.
You hold a pencil?
Yeah, like, and now, like, the joke of, like, last summer was, like, okay, I've gotten, like, so many questions about how I, like, why I look like this. So now I'm, like, I'm offering, intakes from, like, just replies, because, like, now it's just annoying. It's, like, one thing to be like, "Oh, I was born like this," and it's like, "Okay." But it's, like, when I get it constantly, I'm like, "I wanna get a little bit interesting about it," like, because I'm like, well, you asked me at my job, or you asked me at the doctor's office, or it's like 10 a.m. and I'm just trying to live my life, and you asked me like out of nowhere, and like I don't know you. So let me give you an answer that makes you feel just as awkward as you've made me feel. And like, thankfully, I'm like a little bit like I'm more mature to where it doesn't ruin my day or anything. But I'm so glad like we can have this conversation, because like my obviously like my dad's like a bit older, and I just can't really like discuss this stuff with him because he's like, I don't know. And so this makes me feel a bit more validated, and I bet like a lot more like disabled people or anything like that, like type of validation. So again, I really do appreciate you like bringing this up, and like, oh my God.
Yeah, I also think I wonder if the primary community we're speaking to right now is disabled, but I'm not sure. But I think that if you are a disabled person, I think that the best thing you can do is like find another disabled friend.
Yeah.
And I think that that is like really like the best advice I have, because they will understand you,
Yeah.
and then you guys will have a secret language. And it'll be like if you were an alien on Earth and then you found another alien, and like you're not
Yeah.
alone, and it's
Yeah.
gonna really ground you, and like you'll know that you're not alone.
Yeah. Okay, moving on from people being annoying and crazy, and kind of circling a bit back to social media. I know we got like a little bit off topic. You kind of answered like the do you always have to feel like to be positive? And again, with your transparency approach, that's how you mainly like approach social media. But one question was like, do you use social media as like a diary, or do you feel you're constantly creating content that's a bit more like quote unquote glamorous? And there's like the topic of, well, how much is too much to put on social media?
Okay. I think of the internet as like another dimension that we get to enter and just exist in. So I make art as a character, and then that character exists on the internet, but that character is based and inspired by my real life.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I feel like I'm making content, and I feel like it's a diary, but like sometimes it's embellished, and sometimes it's just like a little sparklier than it really is. And
Yeah.
sometimes wearing clothes that I borrowed and can't afford, you know?
Yeah.
And I think I try to be transparent about that too. So I'm like, hey guys, like just in case, like if I'm setting a standard here, it's not real.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, and there's definitely things that are too much to post on the internet, but I can't think of any right now.
Gotcha.
You
Yeah.
know, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
wouldn't like, I think I would, I am more hesitant to like directly call people a person out. And even a company, like I just like kind of like submitted this something to a magazine where I was like calling out my insurance company, and I was scared to do it and delayed doing it. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I should do this. So that might be too much, but I respect people that do it.
Yeah.
And I
Gotcha.
look up to people even that do it, but I don't know if that's for me.
Yeah, understandable. I think, and like me and my friends will talk about this a lot, but more so, I guess, like from like a mental health standpoint of like how much was too much to share, like how much was like there's like one thing of like, oh, I had a bad day, and then like going from like saying like tweeting like, oh, I had a bad day, to like here's all like my trauma played out. And that's completely fine if you want to post it, but I guess I was just kind of curious of like your opinion on like I I don't know if like trigger warning is the word I want to use. I'm kind of like getting a bit off track, but
No, that's okay. I don't
yeah.
think work warrants a trigger warning.
Yeah.
And I try to be like as honest as possible. Like when you're looking at like if you've seen my art once, you know there's going to be like titties and stuff in it.
Yeah.
And then a lot of it just tries to be really romantic and like, you know, not even necessarily really positive, but like really like poetic and artful. And less, you know, just kind of like gory details.
Yeah. Yeah. I got you. Yeah. That's definitely like something I was like very interested about. And like just to say the least, I was like, I wish like somebody just like took my phone away when I was 16. They were like, delete your Twitter account. Cause like I was just like I now look back on certain things.
2 years ago. I can never look at it old.
Yeah.
Oh God, that was so embarrassing.
And like I had like Facebook when I was 12 and like we all talk about it because like I was like, oh God, why did I have that? And like thank God, me and my friend were saying like the other day, like, thank God TikTok wasn't a thing. Because we would have just like embarrassed ourselves. But like, I don't know, I guess it's cute to look back on, but kind of circling back to like it could have gotten too deep and like I would have just preferred to like not post about like how crappy I felt all the time. But I was kind of interested in how you approach like negative emotions. And again, I think everybody and me personally just like really respects and appreciates the transparency, but like also I don't like having boundaries in a way with like social media in a way.
Yeah, I think that I like to like use intuitive boundaries. I don't talk about boundaries that much.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because mine are looser. Like my work boundaries are like non-existent. The girls I work with, like live in my house, if not literally. Yeah. They're there often enough where it feels that way, and we're all very involved in each other's lives, and I think that that's like the way I work best. But like boundaries as far as the internet, I just like feel it out. Like, does this feel right to me or not? Like, if I think we're kind of in a moment of collective sadness, like I'm okay to join it. Or if I think I'm even having my own moment of sadness, like if you follow my Instagram, like, you know, when I'm like spiraling, but like as an artist and like maybe, you know, I don't know if I would yet consider myself a performance artist, but as like what could someday become a performance artist, and Girl New York could someday become a piece of performance art. You guys know when I'm spiraling, and I let you know my own way.
Exactly. Okay, so going off of that and just kind of going back to body image, unfortunately, I tried to get somebody from the University of Delaware's LGBTQ plus program, which is Lavender, if anybody watching doesn't know, but nobody on the board was available. So I don't want to talk too much about it because I don't want to be the person to speak about it, and I don't know that much. But to quit rambling. So body image in regards to gender expression. And one of the questions was, has gender spectrum allowed you to explore more creatively with how you present yourself? We can start with that because it's kind of like a lengthy question. So has a gender kind of allowed you to express yourself? I know you kind of come off more feminine, but like, how has that kind of played into your style?
I deeply love this question because it made me think so much. And I might be a person who overthinks, but I have like so intensely questioned my gender. And to land on like, I am such a woman, how would I ever know that that's who I was if I wasn't given the opportunity, even if I didn't give myself the opportunity to ask that question and to really wonder it.
Yeah.
So I think that when we free up this conversation about gender and we invite people to question themselves and question the way they do things and why they do things, wherever they land, they can then move forward.
Yeah.
But I think it's an important thing to question and to consider, to take into consideration. And I would never tell someone who never thought of it that they should, because if they never thought of it, then it never affected them. But I definitely thought about it. And then I landed here and I feel like a really, truly feminine lady. Yeah. I'm like a really feminine person, and I feel like a woman, and that's enough for me. And if anyone feels like anything, that's enough for me, and that should be enough for them.
Exactly. I think like like when I was younger, I definitely struggled a lot with like the quote unquote like being girly. Like I definitely was like not into it, and I think that kind of that struggle went hand in hand with just how I saw myself, and whether being disabled played into that, I don't really know. So now I'm very like happy to be like like I wouldn't say like hyper feminine, but now I'm like definitely more into like makeup and like different types of fashion, and like I don't know, just like being able to see that we've kind of progressed as like social media, whatever, to where it's like not like, okay, well, I either have to be this type of hyper feminine or I can't be like anything in the middle, to where like, I don't know, I guess it's just nice in general. It's just nice to be like, wake up one day, like, yeah, I want to put glitter all over my face. And like the next day, like, I just want to wear sweatpants and like be more like masculine type feeling. So, yeah.
I love this. I'm so glad. And I think it's so cool. And I love speaking to young people because, you know, we were so free and I thought that we were the freest we could be. And then you guys like kicked the door in and
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
really is. And I even hope that the people after you are even so much more progressive, that you guys feel the same shock that I think millennials felt when we realized for the first time that we were kind of like, oh, we are not the smartest people in the room. And if we don't, and you know, there started to kind of like spiral into a lot of millennial jokes, which at first I was like, oh, but we live in it. We did it, guys. Like, no, we're trying. We deserve no, like, all right, let's listen. Let's not become boomers. Let's like listen to what you guys have to say and adapt and like continue to become more and more progressive and more liberated and more free.
Yeah. It's exciting. So kind of getting into like still talking about body image and like fashion and whatnot. I specifically wanted to talk about tackling fashion. One of my like biggest issues, like being a disabled person, is shoes. Like I cannot, so pretty much like I don't have like a full foot either. So I can't wear heels. Like I was a girl at my prom wearing like Vans and like granted like I kind of appreciate it because like I don't know. I was just
wore old Converses to prom.
Yeah. Okay, good. So you definitely like understand like what could be deemed as like a struggle. And even like I still deal with it now, where like my one friend, she went as I forget like what character, but for Halloween she had like these like knee high like white boots and like these heels, and I was like, oh my god, I love that and I want that. And like I remember like putting them on and not being able to really like walk around in them and just like kind of getting discouraged. But I guess my main question is, and I'm like like I'm fine, like I'm not
doing great.
Podcast
work. You're doing fantastic.
I'm not gonna like get upset over not being able to wear a pair of boots, but kind of tracking back to where, you know, you were like doing fashion at FIT, how have you kind of like taken trends, and if you weren't able to, I don't know if this is really what I want to say, but like if you weren't able to like go to like H&M and buy like a pair of shoes or like a pair of pants, how did you make trends work for you, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. Cool. Let's start here.
Yeah.
Always. And I feel bad because like I want to like be like, no, the end is near. It's not. You'll always feel a little bad about the things you can't do.
Yeah.
Because you want to be able to do them, and then not being able to do them doubles down. And then you'll feel bad about the things you can't do, but you know in your spirit that if you were not disabled, it would be the kind of thing you liked. Like, yeah. Really sad one day when I was like, you know what? I bet I would love running. I bet I would love it. Yeah. I love recreational pain. I'm a tattoo artist. Running sounds fun. You're always going to feel like really bummed about that. But the good part is that try to make your adaptations feel like luxuries.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like if you have to wear Vans, like that was why I was like, I wear gold Converses. If you have to wear sneakers, wear gold ones. Wear the sparkliest, most used shoes in the world. And while I know not everyone is like all glitter and gold like I am, whatever it is that makes you who you are, or like would be the logo of your brand, like use that in your adaptations. Like my crutches are pink. You know, I can't wear heels right now. I don't have a leg that can wear heels at this time. So I'm stuck in flats and like, I can't even wear most boots and I'm like really fussing about it.
Yeah.
But, like I've been trying to like really just like dress up a lot more then.
Yeah.
Like I bleached out my hair and I was like, no. All right. Well, if I'm not going to wear heels, I'm going to be Marilyn Monroe in every other way. So I think that helps me is like that like idea of luxury and the idea of making my adaptations a luxury. And there's ways to do it. And, you know, not being able to go out and buy new shoes and pants happens for such a wide myriad of reasons that like, if you can't get into the pants that they're selling, what would need to change about the pants to make you be able to get into them? Because that's probably useful for someone else. Back to the void. How can you fill the void?
Yeah. I was talking about this with my mom the other day, but I have just seen like so many different things that it's not more so of like I wish I had that when I was little. I'm just so glad that it exists now. There was something, it was like a shoe, like they were like sneakers, but instead of like having to tie them, they looked tied, but there was like a zipper and you just like unzip. Yeah.
I have the Nike ones.
Gotcha. Yeah. And like I was just like, that's so neat because like one, like I can tie my shoes now, but I just remember that being like such a big anxiety when I was little, being like, well, if like they untie when I like at school, what do I do? And just like being able to like fit into like certain shoes. One thing, and this is kind of off topic, but like kind of going back to having to wear sneakers to like any like type of formal event, I always had to wear either white Reeboks or white Nikes. So when like the Nike Air Forces like came in like 2016 and like that's what everybody was wearing, I originally got like so frustrated. I was like, you could wear like any shoe. You could wear like any boot, you could do like whatever, and you choose to wear like a white sneaker that I've had to wear like to like recitals and like whatnot. But now obviously I don't feel that way, but I don't know if you kind of relate to like that kind of I guess like annoyance at first, being like, well, like, you know.
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely know what you mean, but I try not to think about other people's choices at all.
Yeah.
Beyond how they directly affect me, because other people like have to have the freedom to like make their own choices. But then like
Exactly. Yeah.
if it was a blending in thing, like I would just be like, fine, now mine are laced with pearls. Like
yeah.
you know, like there's something you can do.
Yeah. God.
And I think like making these like harder situations poetic and funny and luxurious is like what my whole brand is hopefully about.
Yeah.
And like when I was talking about before, like sharing too much, like you guys knowing when I'm like spiraling because of the way I post on the internet, if you do follow me, I think that I try to do it in a way that's poetic.
Yeah.
So it softens the blow.
Exactly.
And I try to take the things you can't do because of your disability and you do them your own way, a bit poetic, it'll soften the blow.
Nice. That's really great. Because one thing like I kind of do to cope is like I'm very like comedic about like my issues, even if it's not like my disability. It's like whatever I'm dealing with in life.
Yeah.
And so and like sometimes I've gotten like mixed responses and I'm like, you can laugh at that, like it's okay. And they're like, oh, okay. And so yeah, I think that's like a really good bit of advice. Like I just have to kind of laugh at it and then it's going to be fine. Like I just kind of have to tell myself like, well, this is the body I'm in. This is the situation I'm in. Stuff could be like a lot worse. So let me just like make a funny tweet about it and get over it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said the other day, like in a Q&A, and I think I'm going to like hold on to it because I was like, whoa, I really like this thing that I said because it's going to help me. I'm going to want to remember this later. I was like, look, it's just a meat sack that carries your spirit.
Exactly.
It's really like you just got, it's just here to take you from point A to point B. And sometimes I have to remind myself not to take it so seriously. My body isn't my purpose. It's just the vessel that helps me carry it out.
Exactly. Okay, well, to kind of transition from like all of life struggles and whatnot, I wanted to do like some fun little games and whatnot.
Cool.
Um, so we're gonna start with the song association game. I don't know if for anybody that's watching and like doesn't really know what it is. Elle magazine does it a lot with singers and whatnot.
I'm
So
a singer
you
though.
you don't have to like you don't have to bust out like a Ariana vocal like at all, but like you're more than welcome to. You can just be like,
I couldn't. Okay. All right.
I have some words that I'm gonna give you, and then let me get my timer on my phone really quick. I'll give you like 12 seconds. Usually they do 10, but I was like 12 seems better. So hold on one second. Okay, there we go. So I got some words from people on the crew. So they all say hello. But so first we'll start with Emily, who is like part of our advisement team. So you're first, and I'll show. Let me like unplug my phone. I'll like kind of show you hello where the thing is. So your first word is.
I have a question. I'm
Oh, go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
I have to make up a song.
No, 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 no,
Or
no. Like it has
name
to
the
be like
song
an
that is it.
actual song.
Thanks.
It can be in the title, it
I
can be in the
couldn't
lyric.
remember, and I'd seen it on Jimmy Fallon both ways.
Okay. No, we're just gonna do the one where it's like a song that's like on the radio or anything like that. Okay, whenever you're ready, let me know.
Let's go.
Okay, your first word is mirror, like Mirror. I think I spelled that right.
Okay. Um,
Go.
I have to sing.
You can just say like whatever the song is, or just like
Mirrorball, Taylor Swift.
okay, okay, nice. Okay. Emily sent in like 3 letters, so shout out to Emily. Thank you so much.
Thank
Your
you.
your second word is phone. Go.
You used to call me on your cell phone.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay. Um, let's see what else. Hannah, who actually did the marketing and design for this event. So shout out to Hannah for like all the lovely marketing. Her word is Her word is summer. And go.
Oh my god, it's the most obvious word. Okay, summertime and the living is easy. That's
Okay. I was thinking of I don't know what what it's called, but I was thinking like summertime, sit back and relax. It's like some 90s song. I'm like, oh my god, I don't know. I feel like my mom has sang it before. Maybe it's not an actual song. I don't know. Okay. We'll do like 3 more and then we can move on. Tati, who was on our Zoom tonight and has been like so great helping me out as one of our program advisors. Her word is love. So go.
L is for the way you look at me. Oh,
Perfect. You don't have to sing the whole thing if you want to, but like you're okay. And then our last word, so this is like kind of a hard one and we were all laughing at it. And if you don't know a song, it's fine because it's a weird word. But Josh, who is also on our marketing and design, his word is potatoes. So if you have any idea, I have one in my mind.
okay. Oh, isn't there like that song that's like potato, potato, tomato, tomato? You say
Yes. I
I say
didn't even think about that. I was thinking of, I don't know if you remember the Wiggles. I think they were on Disney. There was like, they sing like some song about potatoes. I don't know. Now I just forgot it. So whatever. But great job. You did great. And then our last little game, and then we'll kind of head out since it's like almost been like an hour, I believe. Is your most embarrassing moment in 10 words or less? I can start with mine just to kind of give you like an example. And I can't believe like I'm saying that anybody who like knows me knows the story. So, in 10 words or less, or you can say more than 10 words. Mine is high school, smacked, childhood friend, common area, which is like the area that all of us like kind of congregated in the morning, blood drive, and stitches. And I will gladly explain to you what that is if you would like.
Do.
Okay. And my mom is watching this too, so I know she's cracking up because she was the one that had to pick me up when this happened. So to kind of get backstory, I did not like high school. I was like, I went in, did my work, and left. But one morning I was just like super pissed off. I like had like an exam that day, and I was kind of rushing out of the library. And this kid, he takes his book bag and like goes to throw it like over his shoulder, and he smacks me like right here, and I knocked out. Like I just saw black and white, and I just felt like somebody like picked me up. It was this kid I went to preschool with, and I was like, hey, and he was like, oh my God, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. Like, I'm like, please let me go so like I can like deal, you know? And so I walked to my friends, like kind of out of the common area into the gym. And that day they were having the blood drive. So like the gym was kind of like closed off. And I remember people looking at me weird while I was walking through the halls. I'm like, what's the problem? And my friend just goes, oh my God, your face is like bleeding everywhere. I'm like, huh? And so I had blood like all down the side of my face. I had to go get stitches, but I couldn't go to the nurse's office like as soon as it happened because they were doing the blood drive. So one of like the higher ups at our school, I was sitting in like the main office waiting for my mom, and this guy comes in that was like, I don't know, he was like affiliated with the school. He was like, oh, I just thought you were donating blood through your forehead today. And I was just sitting there like, yeah. So that was like the peak of my like high school, and I was like, I can't wait to graduate, and I'm still so happy. But if you would like to say anything, or if that just took your breath away and you don't want to talk
amazed. I'm amazed. You are amazing. Honestly, truly. I don't know if I have ever had an experience like that. Like you have such a special story. Like what an opportunity to share your story. That's so special.
High school was so great. It was so great.
I don't know. I mean, I'm terrified of teeth, and because I accidentally knocked my brother's front teeth out. He was behind my parents' door, and it was like jammed, and he was like, you got to help me. So I was like, okay, I'm here to help you. And I think that a common sense person would stand back.
Yeah.
He didn't. He stood right there, got his two front teeth knocked right out, chipped in half. And then, I was the oldest, so I got in trouble. But it was pretty embarrassing because then forever everyone was like, you knocked his teeth out. But I didn't do.
Oh, God. Well, thank you so much for making me feel a little bit better about like our embarrassing moments of childhood.
Don't worry. I've misspelled a tattoo. I've only misspelled one tattoo in my whole life, and it's on my best friend's butt.
Well, okay. It like adds more sentiment.
Most embarrassing.
Yeah. Oh God. Okay. Well, I'm gonna check. We're almost out of time because it's almost been an hour. I'm going to double check just to see if anybody did little comments or anything. Okay. I don't really see anything. Okay. Just making sure everything's running smoothly. Okay. But besides that, that's kind of the end of everything. Thank you so much for chatting with me. This has been so lovely. You're so lovely and have given like such great advice. If there's anything you want to plug, like your socials or anything like upcoming events or releases for you.
Yeah, for sure. I am Girl New York, and it is like this. Hold on. It's Girl New York like I knew it.
Nice. Awesome.
So if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's a wild time, but it is such an interesting time to be alive that hopefully we can document it together.
Yes. All I have to say is if anybody would like to follow the crew on Instagram, obviously if you're watching the Facebook, you follow us on here, obviously. But it's at the crew UD. We're having some really fun events come up. So definitely make sure to check us out there. But that's all I really have to say. Again, thank you, Mira, for being here and chatting with us and whatnot. It's been so lovely. And thank you to everybody that tuned in. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Yeah, bye.